Inshallah, your hearts are present. Today, we want to continue talking about al-ajwaf, the hollow verb. And our goal today is to talk about, really to complete this section, bi'idhnillah, on nunu ta'keed, the noon of emphasis. I want to get started right away into the text, but just want to remind you how that noon is. You can say tawkeed and you can say ta'keed like it's written here. That's either a noon with a fatha or a noon with a shadda and a fatha. Comes on the back of some verbs. Just for example, you say adriban, adriban. So this noon here, I said has fatha, adriban, sukun. This noon here is nunu tawkid, and the verb adrib, it became mabni. It's not marfu' anymore. That's why there's fatha here on the back. فعل مضارع مبني على فتح. A mudari' verb that's built with a fatih. لاتصاله بنون التوكيد, because of the suffixing of the noon of emphasis. In this case, al-khafifa, the light one. And you can do the same thing with the heavy one. You would say adribanna. لاتصاله بنون التوكيد الثقيلة, because of the suffixing of the heavy noon of emphasis. But we're going to see here, inshallah, that sometimes the light noon or the heavy noon make a difference in the sarf. Because the light noon has sukoon on it, so sukoon has its own rules. So what about if there's something around it that has sukoon on it? But when we say there's a heavy one, there's sukoon there too. Because the heavy one really means two noons. First one has sukoon, second one has the haraka. So let's see. When we're dealing with hollow verbs, that means that that middle letter is going to be subject to sukoon. Yeah, it's going to have a sukoon. The author says, وَبِالتَّأْكِيد, and with emphasis, he means the noon of emphasis. Yani, if you follow the metin, he's just breaking down the verb now. وَيَدْخُلُ الْجَازِمُ عَلَى الْمُضَارِعِ, the jazm will come upon the mudari'. فَتَسْقُطُ الْعَيْن, then the middle letter will drop. إذا سكن ما بعدها, if there was sukoon after it. وتثبت إذا تحرك ما بعدها, and it will stay if there is a vowel after it. تقول, you say, لم يصن لم يصونا لم يصونوا لم تصن لم تسونا لم يصن لم تصن لم تسونا لم تسونوا لم تسوني لم تسونا لم تصن لم أصن لم نصن. We read all of that. I said I wasn't going to back up, but I want to back up here just to show you the flow, to remind you of how he's flowing, what he's doing here. He continues, وَهَكَذَا قِيَاسٌ, qiyasu, and this is how you, this is the standard rule. If it were a ya'i, so you say lam يبيع لم يبيع لم يبيعوا إلى آخره etc. He doesn't have to repeat them all. ولم يخف ولم يخافا ولم يخافوا إلى آخره etc. With the alif in the middle, he doesn't have to repeat them all. You're the one who's going to study. Yani, he has the knowledge. If you don't know what fills there, then you need to go study. Fill it. Then he says, وَقِسْ عَلَيْهِ الْأَمْرِ. Then compare the command to that, to the مضارع مجزوم. نحو sun, suna, sunu, suni, suna, sunna. Okay? You only have these cases for the command because the command is for the mukhatab. Command is for the mukhatab. Sun, anta. Suna, antuma, sunu, antum, suni, anti, suna, antuma, sunna, antunna. Only mukhatab. Not ana, not nahnu, not huwa, not hiya. None of that is for the amr, only the mukhatab. So you only have these ones. And then he says, yani, this part is not part of the metzin here. دخول نون التوكيد على الأجوف. Whoever published the book put that there. As for the metzin itself, he just continues. وبالتأكيد, and with emphasis, you'd say, سُنَنَّ سُنَانِّ سُنُنَّ سُنِنَّ سُنَانِّ سُن سُنَانِ سُنَانِّ. These two noons should be merged. That's a typo. Wabil khafifa, with the light noon of tawkid, you say sunan, sunun, sunin. And he continues with the ya'i. Wabi' bi'a, bi'u, bi'i, bi'a, bi'na. That's the command. وخف خافا خافو خافي خافا خفنا. That's the command for the one that has the alif in the middle. And then he keeps going. So you see how the flow is there. So we are here. We went past where we are, just so you see the flow. وبالتأكيد. Now, with emphasis, how will you say these verbs? He gave us the command only. سُنَنَّ سُنَانِّ سُنُنَّ. يعني وبالتأكيد سُنَنَّ سُنَانِّ سُنُنَّ سُنِنَّ سُنَانِّ سُنَّانِّ. So that's a typo there. وبالخفيفة سُنَنَّ سُنَن سُنُن سُنِن. Okay. Let's see what happened. Let's see what's happening there. This noon, it came on the fi'l amr, according to what the author gave to us. So let's see, how was the verb originally? So the maldi was sana. The mudari was yasunu. Let's actually back up there. Sunta. Because we need the mukhatab, the addressee, so-called second person. Sunta, you protected. Then the mudari is tasunu, you protect. Enta, you know. In this case, the pronoun appears. ضمير بارز. sunta. That's the ta. In this case, the pronoun does not appear. ضمير مستتر. تصون أنت. Okay. How do we get the command? We get the command from the mudari, but we have to make the mudari majzoom first. So we'll bring the particle. Lem. Then we're going to say lem tasun. Yani, you know, it was tasun, but lem made it have sukoon. The wow already has sukoon. So then we had to remove the first one. So it becomes lam tasun. That's the mudari' majzoom. We get the amr from here. To get the command, what do? We're gonna we don't need the mudari, the jazm particle anymore. But we're gonna keep the verb the way it looks, but we don't need the mudari letter anymore either. So all that's left is sun anta. That's the command. Okay. So wabit ta'kid, but with the noon of emphasis, yani, we want to add the noon first, the heavy one. Now, this noon, this heavy one, in reality is what? In reality, it's two noons. One with a sukoon, one with a fatha. We have, for this particular specimen, three noons in a row. One of them is part of the verb itself. So, what's happening here? Well, this noon of tawkid, let me restore it to its shape here. This noon of tawkid demands of the verb to take a fatha on the end. I just showed you a few minutes ago. So once that fatha happens, then what happens? Now we don't have two sukoons in a row. That means this wow can come back. Because the only reason we removed the wow is because there were two sukoons in a row. There was sukoon on the noon. Once a fatha came onto the noon, then we didn't have two sukoons in a row anymore, and the wow was able to come back. And so it became sunan. So that's how you would command someone with this verb with the noon of tawkid on it, or noon of ta'kid. Sunan, protect. But there's yani exclamation point, for example, or emphasis. So let me write what the author has here so I can operate on it. He said, you say sunan. We did that one. Sunani. Sunun. Sunin. Sunani. We already have that. Sunnani. Okay. All of those are command verbs. Yani the origin of sunani was suna. That's how you command it too. But we wanted to bring this noon, and it had a fatha on it. So we just attach it. And we don't have to do anything but actually exchange this fatha on this noon for kasra. Then it's going to become sunani. Why? Okay. So that it complements the dual form in Arabic. But that's not, yani, that noon is not the same dual noon you usually see. But to complement the dual form in Arabic that comes, you say rajulani, al-rajulani yakumani, then this noon will take a kasrah and it keeps it shadda. Sunani. Very nice language, mashallah. Sununna. What was going on there? So it was originally sunu. You know that, inshallah. And this alif here, that's alif al-fariqah. It's only relevant in writing when you stop on that wow. And we want to add this noon. This noon, which is really a noon for sukoon and then another noon, which means we would have two sukoons in a row. So to remove these two sukoons here, we drop the wow and then we simply add the alif. I mean, sorry. Then we simply add the noon. So it becomes sununna. And this dhamma is evidence for the wow that got removed. And that's what happened to the one underneath of that. Suninna was anti suni. Then we wanted to add the noon, which makes us have two sukoons in a row. So we remove the first one that yeah there, and then we just add the noon. Suninna. And this kasra is proof for the ya that was erased. And soon, what? Sorry. Sunnani. What happened there? So it was originally sunnah and tunna. And we wanted to add the noon. Ah, we got a lot of noons going on there. That's four noons. Then all we're going to do in this case is bring in alif. This alif is alif al-fariqah. Alif al-fariqah, the alif that makes a difference. So then this equals sunnani. What's this alif al-fariqah here? I told you about it before. That's the same alif in the verb we just looked at, sunu. Except in this case, you don't pronounce it. But it's still alif al-fariqah. Also, that's the same alif in the word mi'ah, which means 100. Mi'ah, that's alif al-fariqah. The alif that tells the difference between something, two things. In the case of sunu, then we know this wow is a pronoun. In the case of mi'ah, then we know that this is not a noon. It's not minhu, it's mi'ah. In the case of sunnani, we this alif separated the successive noons. No. What's this alif up here though? In sunani, this alif is the pronoun. It's not alif al-fariqah. Suna. Okay. Any question here? Okay. Was this clear? That's my question to you. So the answer is yes or no, please.
Yes, Sheikh.
Alhamdulillah. All right. He says, wabil khafifa, with the light noon, sunan, sunun, sunin, and not more. Sunan. So what was that? That was so the original command is sun anta. We wanted to add this noon with sukun. It will demand of this noon in front of it to take a fatha, which is going to make the wow reappear. We're going to say sunan. And what about sunun? Was originally sunu. Then we wanted to add this noon. Then we had two sukuns in a row. So we removed the first one. Then it became sunun, keeping the dhamma as evidence for the wow that got erased. And sunin, it was suni. NT. Then we wanted to add the noon, a light one though. Its sukoon clashes with the sukoon of the ya. So we're going to drop that ya and go right to the noon. Sunin. And the kasra on the noon is evidence for the ya that we erased. And then he showed us the command for the ya'i. Went back to the command without a noon. Wabir. Bi'a. Bi'u. Bi'i. Bi'a. Bi'na. You should know that because that's like sun, suna, sunu. We're just replacing the wow for the ya. Bi'i suni. Bi'a suna suna. Bi'na sunna. And then when there's an alif in the middle, khaf, khafa, khafu, khafi, khafa, khafna. So that should be clear for you. And then he gives us with the noon of tawkid. Bi'an. So same thing here. Was bir. That was the command. Then we wanted to add the noon, the heavy one. It's going to make this ayn take a fatha, which is going to then make the ya reappear, just like what happened with the wow. Then we're going to say bi'an. And the command was bi'a. You too sell. Sell. That's the meaning of this verb. From al-bay'. Ba'a yabi'u. Ba'a. He sold. Yabi'u. He sells or shall sell. Shall sell. Bay'an. A sale or a selling. فهو بائع. And therefore he's a seller. وذاك. It's going to come. Mabur or mabyur. That's sold. And the command is bi'. Sell. وبالتأكيد. But the command with emphasis is bi'an. With the heavy noon. Bi'ani. All we did for bi'ani was just add the noon, but we gave it a kasra instead of a fatha to complement the dual form in Arabic. Bi'unna. Same thing, like what we saw for sauna. So then, that should be your assignment. You go back, study this, and compare sauna to ba'a here with the noon of tawkid. And break it all down. وخافن خافاني خافن خافن خافاني خفناني. وكذا تقول في الخفيفة, and like that you say for the light noon. سونا وبيعا وخافا. This is not how my medicine is here. So وبالتأكيد بيعان بيعن بيعاني بيعن بيعن بيعاني بعناني وخافن وخافاني وخافن وخافن وخافاني. There's no wow. I'm saying wow. There's no wow. Uh, خفناني. Yes. انتهى. Then this is not there. Wallahu a'lam. Allah enabled us to reach where we wanted to achieve our goal. Praise and thanks are due to Allah who enabled us to achieve our goal. Ameen. I did not know. Yani, I wouldn't have been surprised had we not reached the end today. Next step is to look at the hollow verb, but the one that has more than three letters. Any question? Yani, that's for next time.